Thank you. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum. Namaste. Good evening. I am Varda Iftikhar, alumna IBLP on Women in Politics and Civil Society from Pakistan, and I welcome you all on behalf of PUAN and U.S. Mission in Pakistan to the Regional Alumni Virtual Monthly Dialogue Series 2021. The aim of the virtual series is to engage alumni and discuss topics and themes catering to interests and needs of the community across South Asia. Since we all know that 25th November to December 10th marks 16 days of activism to eliminate GBV and violence against women, the theme of this month is the role of civil society in eradicating gender-based violence, different learnings and lessons from Bangladesh, Nepal, and Pakistan. Every time a woman experiences gender-based violence, her rights are violated. The phenomena takes diverse forms, including rape, domestic abuse, sexual violence, harassment, and other harmful tradition, including but not limited to early marriages. Until we stop all these violations in both public and private domains, gender equality and women's empowerment will not be a lived reality. There are obvious psychological, physical, and economic consequences for women and girls who survive violence. However, what is not obvious is the additional damage that is being done to children, families, societies, and economies. To address this and much more, we have gathered alumni from Bangladesh, Pakistan, and Nepal to speak about role of civil society in countering gender-based violence. And I'm thankful beyond my years to all of you to taking out time and participating in this session. Before we formally start the session, I would like to invite Farah Chery-Medor to share her welcome remarks with the audiences. Farah is the Country Cultural Affairs Officer, U.S. Embassy, Islamabad. Prior to this assignment, she served as the Director, Office of Global Health Diplomacy, where she worked to elevate U.S. global health priorities. Before that, she worked as a Career Development Officer for mid-level public diplomacy officers at National Guard Bureau. She has worked in different countries, and including Baghdad, Morocco, Tunisia, Nigeria, and Qatar. Thank you so much, Farah, for arranging this wonderful session for us, and over to you for your thoughts on the session.
Great. Thank you so much. And it is such a pleasure to be here today, and especially, with such accomplished women. It always, pleases my heart to see women who are passionate about these issues and working hard. So thank you again. Good afternoon. And really, on behalf of the U.S. Mission in Pakistan, I welcome all of you to this all of you great alumni from Bangladesh, Nepal, and Pakistan to this 15th regional monthly dialogue series. Really, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules. As we all know, especially as women, we have so many different roles that we encumber. And so anytime that we can take, even half an hour, 45 minutes just to get together is a huge accomplishment in and of itself. So thank you again, especially on, this is really to discuss this important issue on this, the 30th anniversary of the 16 days of violence, so such a long, topic, but the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. This is a critical issue for all of us that impacts all of us, whether individually, our sisters, our mothers, our daughters, our friends, and it's such critical work is needed in this area. As we all know, women and girls make half of the world's population, yet we don't have to go far. We can just look in our own environment, in our own work, in our own school, and see that we are underrepresented in so many different aspects, whether it's in political and economic power, yet still we are underrepresented, or I should say we're overrepresented when it comes to issues of poverty, when it comes to issue of lack of political and economic opportunities, when it comes to even issues like the impact of climate change, right? Because we find that women and girls are disproportionately impacted by so many of these issues, right? Yet and still we lack the voice, we lack the power, we lack the representation far too often to be able to have a say in what happens in our own lives. So this is why issues like this is so important to talk about and to come together as a group to discuss. For 3 decades, the global community has marked, the November 25th, as the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. And this was really what kicks off the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. And rightfully so. This campaign ends on December 10th, which is, International Human Rights Day, and for a reason, right? Because this is a human rights issue as well. And in the U.S., for years, we have, observed the International Day of Elimination of Violence Against Women, and the 16 Days campaign, really as to show our commitment to promoting gender equity, gender equality, empowering girls and women in all their diversity, right? Because there's not one set way, one set role that women should have to play in society. We should have agency, we should have voice to decide what our role should be and how we choose to play that role in society, and not have it imposed upon us. Um, in the US, we've made great strides, in promoting equal rights for women and girls. But, frankly speaking, there's a lot further way we need to go. We don't even have to look, globally at other countries to say that a lot still needs to be done at home and in the world. And if we look at everything that's happened in this past 2 years, with the COVID pandemic, it has really revealed a lot. I mean, there are issues that we always knew, but that really didn't get the highlight, the importance that it deserved, And, COVID-19 really has revealed and magnified these challenges that are faced by women and girls. It's especially has exacerbated the gender-based violence throughout the world, in the US and all over the world. And we have found that the incidences of gender-based violence has really skyrocketed since the emergence of COVID-19. So to the point where it's become known now as the shadow pandemic, which is abhorrent to me to think that, gender-based violence is, within this environment, within this realm of COVID, has become a shadow pandemic. And I would argue it's not a shadow. It's out there in the open. People know about it. The thing is, what do they choose to do about it? Because women and girls continue to be victimized, continue to be abused and violated against. And when will we make this a priority? And so, if nothing else, if COVID-19 is shedding greater light on this, great. But the issue has always been here and will continue to be here. It just shows that we need to make this more of a priority, more so than ever before, and put the survivors at the center of everything that we do. Especially, we tend to isolate issues to say, oh, COVID is a health issue, but it's also a women's issue. It's a girl's issue, right? It has impact on all of our lives in so many different ways, from a health standpoint, from emotional standpoint, from physical standpoint. We are all being affected by this, pandemic. And so we should try to treat it in a holistic manner, to look at all these issues and how we can treat it and how we can address it, and also how we can elevate women to speak up for themselves and their rights. Um, you know, U.S. really remains firm in its commitment to address this disproportionate impact of COVID on young women and girls, and this will continue even in the face of other issues, as well as I mentioned before, climate change, conflict, and other crises. You know, and I'll stop right there with my remarks. But I just wanted to say also, again, just to reiterate, in reviewing your profiles, I am again so impressed by all of your dedication, your commitment that you've shown to this issue, and your leadership. It's needed. We need to do more, and I congratulate all of you for all of your hard work on this issue. Since 2011, the U.S. Embassy here in Pakistan is working through PUAN to engage alumni in the region. And it is a great opportunity to talk about, to network, and really to discuss in a way that brings, you know, how should I say it? That brings, collegiality, but professionalism, but just work and vision and creativity on how we go about addressing issues, especially that resonate so much in this region that all of you can relate to. So thank you all for sharing your experiences, your best practices, and I hope this today's session is beneficial to you as it will be for all of us that we've who've been listening in on these sessions. We're grateful for all your time and dedication. I thank our regional missions. I thank our officers and alumni and coordinators, PUAN, and everyone, through communications and the logistical team have worked so hard to make this session possible and to make it the success that I know it will be. Thanks to everyone and wishing all of you the best. Thanks again.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your wonderful remarks. Indeed, human rights are women rights, and women rights are human rights. There's no way without, um, there's no progress if women in the country or any country are not progressing. Thank you so much again. Now we'd move forward to the group photo. I'll request all of you to turn on your cameras, and I think Shanila will take over from here.
Yes. Let's just wait for a couple of more seconds because I can still see a few non-video participants. Okay. Perfect. So on the count of three, please, I want you guys all to give me a big fat smile. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. And keeping in view the theme of our talk, I want you all to make a gesture in another photo, which I want to take just for being on the safe side. And because we are celebrating 16 days of activism as well, so I want you all to make no sign, which is like this. So if you guys can all make this no sign, and I'm going to click a photo from here, if convenient for you, because I'm assuming a few from you must be using mobile. So just give it a try. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you so much, ladies, for the beautiful picture. Over to you, Ms. Varda, again for your moderation.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now we move on to the session where we have wonderful alumni from Bangladesh, Nepal, and Pakistan. We have Miss Arien Khan, Miss Isman Jahan, Miss Roni Jahan from Bangladesh. From Nepal, we have Anshu Singh. Please forgive me if I'm not pronouncing the right names. Madhuri Rana Singh and Dr. Sangeeta. From Pakistan, we have Miss Misbah, Rahima Panwar, Ania Khan. Thank you so much for taking out your precious time and agreeing to share your thoughts on GBV practices and the things that you're doing in your country. May I request you all to please introduce yourself. We'll start from Bangladesh. Over to you, Arien Khan.
Sorry, I was mute. Thank you so much. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to join this panel of this very renowned people who are having contribution in their societies. I'm looking forward to learn more. My name is Arien Khan. I'm based in Dhaka. I'm an artist, researcher, and a social actor. So my research focus is interfaith, religion, and social issues that hinder the growth of women and people in general. And I use different mediums of language like painting, speaking. I do radio program and public speaking, writing, music as well. So any language is should be used to say the same thing, that we need justice, we need an equal world. And I organize events, I run projects to raise awareness against violence against children and women. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll talk to you more about it in the later session. Next, we move on to Miss Isman Jahan, please.
Thank you, Varda. I am Isman Jahan. Good afternoon from Bangladesh. And it's a winter season, so there is some winter refreshing greetings from you, all of you beautiful ladies. I am by profession, I am a clinical psychologist and working in government project who is addressing gender-based violence, and I am working there from 2009 June. And beside this, I also working as a research assistant in 2005, and that was also a research who worked on gender-based violence also. And by profession, I am clinical psychologist. I am providing psychosocial counseling support to the survivor of the GBV and also the any kinds of women and children who came in our center to ensure their sound mental health, because we know if anyone is without sound mental health, they are became a perpetrator or become a survivor. And beside this, we also working in to changing mind and brings positive thinking. That's why we providing different types of organizing different types of psychosocial counseling training, like supportive counseling training, motivational counseling training, psychological first aid, and different types basic counseling training, and etc. And beside this, we are also maintaining networking and all to overall mental health survivor stakeholders, and also the NGOs and INGOs who working in GBV issues. And it's our working activities. Thanks all.
Thank you so much, Ismat. It was wonderful to know about all the things that you're doing in Bangladesh. Next, we move on to Ms. Roni Jahan, please, for her introduction.
Thank you, Varda. This is Roni Jahan. I'm working in CARE Bangladesh as Acting Director, Women and Girls Empowerment Program. Beside this role, I am leading an initiative that's called Tipping Point. And Tipping Point is a multi-country initiative. So CARE Nepal, CARE Bangladesh, and also CARE USA, we are implementing this initiative of different parts of world, and we are addressing the root causes of child marriage, and we are addressing these root causes through social norms approach. So we will be sharing our experience maybe later to this discussion. Nice meeting you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'd be personally interested in knowing about the root causes of child marriages, because we all the countries present here share the same psychological and demographic and mostly social cultural values. So it would be an interesting insight. Thank you. Next, we move on to Nepal. And in Nepal, can I have introduction from Miss Anshu Singh, please?
Thank you, Varda. Namaste, everyone from Nepal. I'm Anshu Singh from Kathmandu, Nepal. I participated in IVLP in 2016 on human rights advocacy. During my journey of career, I did academic researches with the national non-governmental organizations here, and my articles are published in bulletins of different organizations, including National Dalit Commission, a government body of Nepal. I worked in a national level women-led NGO called Dalit Feminist Dalit Organization, FEDO. You must have known about it, because we are all over Nepal. And I worked there as a national program manager. And there I got chance to coordinate with different organizations and work for Dalit women, who are known as the marginalized women in Nepal. And after gaining experiences from NGO, I also served for UN, and I again got chance to work with women from different countries. And during my tenure, I'm here very glad to say that I met different women from grassroots levels to international level, and I met uneducated women also women with higher education, and some were working in higher posts, and some were struggling for their day-to-day livelihoods. And from meeting all those women, uh, I learned many things from them, and also have realized something that I today want to share with you all, because I'm really proud to say that now I'm in a break from my career due to some reasons. But today, what I want to talk about those women who are in break from their career, and they are not working in any organization or company, and they have taken break. When we listen about those women who have taken break from their career, we generally say that what's the big deal, right? It's their life, it's their career. But it's what I want to say here is it's not only about her. When a woman leaves her job, see herself, her children, the society, and also nation's investment get affected. So that's why it's really necessary to talk about this. And ultimately, that status of her can lead her to be the victim of gender-based violence in the long run. So I want to talk about that in this session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That was very holistic. Next, we move on to Miss Madhuri Rana Singh from Nepal and hear what she has to say and offer. Thank you.
Namaste everyone from Nepal, and my name is Madhuri Rana Singh. So I would like to call myself a social activist because when I was very young, when I was 19, 20 years old, I joined the social field as a volunteer for a program. And then slowly I got hooked on to this, social service. So it's been now nearly 2 decades I have been working as a social worker. First, I used to work in an organization called Sathi, which works for violence against women, and it was the first. It was the organization that helped in drafting bill against violence against women, because before that there was no law and no bills in Nepal for Domestic Violence Act. So from then I started, road movements and, rallies, and then drafting bills. And in my career, as I was going through, now Nepal has reached 33% participation in political leadership also. So, I wouldn't say I have been in a particular designation. My designation in my NGO now is treasurer, but I have been filling the gaps and doing all, social movements. And that's why I would like to call myself a social activist. And sometimes my children also make fun of me. Oh, so you are an activist, social activist. I said, no, you have to act, always add social, because uh, there is not only a issue for women and girls, I think, and there are a lot of issues: domestic violence, maybe in the workplace, maybe in politics, maybe in the home, maybe in the wages. So I would call myself a social activist. And I am working for an NGO called RUDUK, that is Rural Women for Development and Unity Center. It is located in the far western region of Nepal, and it is the most remote part of Nepal. And the women, they are very oppressed, and we have been doing work there for maybe around 19, 20 years. And especially my leadership is organizing health camps, especially heart camp, every year in that part of the country. And other things, I am engaged in an umbrella organization called Sankalpa. It's an umbrella organization of lot of NGOs like FEDO, and we work together for advocacy, Then we what do you call it? We give trainings and all. So in that way, and in this session, I would like to talk about the impact of COVID right now in women and children and the after effect of COVID later on. Thank you.
Whether I have to
I think you need to unmute her.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, can we move on to Dr. Sangeeta, please?
Okay. Good afternoon, salam alaikum and namaste. It's a pleasure to be here today on this panel. And I would like to thank all the organizers from Pakistan, as well as Mr. Season Baral from Nepal for facilitating the program. So I'm a professor. I teach MPhil students and supervise PhDs. My area of studies is Asian studies and gender and sexuality. So, and besides that, I also am a director of Center for, South Asian Studies. And, I have two organizations. So we do conferences. It's mainly academic. So we do conferences and workshops and seminars. And the latest one just before the lockdown, COVID lockdown, was on sexual harassment against girls in schools. So the focus was mainly on children from aged 10 to 16 from schools, where 20 schools from Nepal had participated, five girls from each school, and then we had the administrators from each school, and there were also what we could say participants from certain organizations like children with disabilities from shelters, etc. So it was an amazing, what you would say, a workshop. So besides that, I have written some books, and a couple of them one of them is Women in Asia, and something's happening to me. Excuse me. And the other one is Women and Violence Around the World, where I am, what you would say, editor, as well as, I think I'll have to stop.
You can surely take a break. We'll come back to you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Moving on to Pakistan now. Can I have an introduction from Misbah, please?
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. This is Misbah from Pakistan. I'm basically from the northern part of Pakistan. I myself, I'm an athlete. I'm a national volleyball player, as well as a social activist. I would say a sports activist, where we work directly with young girls and adolescent girls, as well with boys as well in Pakistan, where we address violences, gender-based violence, street harassment, and other issues that happens in Pakistan. What we try to do through different organizations, we try to do that we need to address gender-based violence and harassment issues through sports. We are basically using sports as a tool to counter GBV in Pakistan. So basically, I am running an organization which is called Misbah Sports Academy and Misbah Volleyball Academy, where we mainly do these works. So in MVA, in Misbah Volleyball Academy, other than sports, we mainly focus on doing sessions, doing different workshops with adolescent girls, where we teach them about self-defense, where we teach them about, how to be self-confident, by providing them a better platform, by providing them a platform where they can come forward and, share their issues with us. So other than GBV, we more focus on bystander intervention and positive masculinity. So it's really important. What I think that it's really important to teach young boys and young girls about masculinity, that what is actually masculinity. So there are other different wide topics that we usually discuss with young girls in Pakistan.
Thank you, Misbah. We'll come back to you on self-defense and how that can help in eliminating gender-based violence. We'll quickly move on to Ms. Rahima so that we can start the next session.
Assalamu alaikum. Good evening and good afternoon, everyone. I am Rahima Pahar. I am a women rights and human rights activist and also member of some commission on the status of women that established to promote women's economical, political and social empowerment. And the commission is established under the international commitments in Sindh province of Pakistan. Besides this, I work with Water Aid Pakistan as provincial coordinator, policy and advocacy. The major work I do with the parliamentarians and relevant departments for the implementation and strengthening of pro-women laws related to laws to curb the gender-based violence against women and girls, and also for the provision of safe drinking and safe sanitation services to citizens of Sindh province. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I understand the government is doing wonderful work, and we'll come back to you to know more about what the Women Commission is doing in Sindh and all across Pakistan. Last but not the least, we have the youngest alumni from Pakistan, Ms. Ania Khan. Please tell us more about yourself. Over to you, Rania.
Hi. Thank you. So as Warda just mentioned, this is me, Rana. I'd keep it very short since we have to move on to the next session that's planned. I am currently a part of the Prime Minister's National Youth Council, and I'm a founder of the Rana Foundation, a non-profit youth organization that's working for women in Pakistan. We set up free schools, and that's one of our flagship projects. And other than that, I've been working on policy making. I've been working on frameworks and draft bills and all of that with the ministers, of course. And then via my organization, I've been working with the victims of domestic violence. I've been working with women in general, so all the women-related issues, providing them with legal aid and so on and so forth. And we'd get into details later. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Raina, and I'm so sorry for the wrong name. We'll move on to the question answer part, and I'd highly recommend that you all answer keeping the best interest of time so that everyone gets a chance to share their opinion. We'd start from Arien Khan. Arien Khan, since you are the first speaker from Bangladesh, could you please tell us about the situations that predispose people to gender-based violence in your country? And since you come from media background, could you also tell us about the role of media that can in raising awareness and also in reporting? And as we've seen that when it comes to reporting, the South Asians like sensationalism, and which kind of jeopardizes the victim at times, and which halts for more people from reporting the crime in itself. So could you tell us about what is the right role of media, and how what are the ethics that it needs to take into account? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Your question has two parts, but I would answer both in one response. Like So as I mentioned, I am a researcher. So my intervention in this topic is through doing research. So I try to understand what are the issues that instigate that cause this gender-based violence, and behind this, the discrimination, the inequality works as one of the main reasons. And why do we have this inequality and this social stereotype? This comes from two very basic core areas. So as I'm a researcher, I have looked upon these topics for years, and my practice is to try to implement some of the solutions through an organization that I have formed. So I put different hats on this in dealing with this issue. So I myself have been a victim of abuse, which was child abuse, but I started my work through child abuse, but when I wanted to look at the root causes, which is a cycle of abuse, actually, one leads to the other. And the concept of abuse is quite broad. Two main reasons that are at the very core of this thought that women are unequal and can be, men can vent their aggression on them, comes from the concept, our unlearnings of civilization, religion, and education. Why do I say that? Like our learnings of our teachings of civilization creates our mindset, our psyche, and is mixed with our religious practice that creates our base, our core, our personality, our behavior. So these two institutions work through spread their message through education, cultural practice, and media. And these three institutions, like what kind of approach would this would be taken, are influenced by politics and market now. In fact, it is more influenced by the market now. So, and through cultural practice, which involves a middle class society, it is important because this is where the intellectual practices happen and the cultural mindset can be changed. Uh, when we talk about women empowerment in Bangladesh, like the data are quite grave. It says like a report released this year say that 50% women get abused or face violence any time of their lifetime from their intimate partner. Like that means like if I have 10 married people, friends or married girls and around me, five of them might have faced some kind of abuse or violence in their lifetime, which is a huge number. It is not small, and this is one of the most unreported crime in the world. Uh, so as you mentioned, media, so it's not only media. Media plays a very important role, but media also victimizes the victim because media is a business entity in the end. And people like to defame women. People like to see sensitized news. So what do we expect from media? And what is our role as a citizen? So we have many participants here who are working on advocacy and awareness and implementation of programs. We would know more from them. But on the questioning level, I think we need to question all the institutions, and we need to rethink and redefine the definitions of what is masculinity, what is being feminine, and what is empowerment, what is this empowerment for. Ms. Anshu mentioned that she is taking a break from her career, which is quite sometimes quite a huge pressure on women, that if women have finished their education, there's a pressure that we should work. And who decide? And unless we contribute in the market, we have a negotiation exchanging capacity, we are not taken seriously. And when women earns, it creates different kinds of abuse, different kinds of violence in the families, in the sexual, sexual agencies, right? In marriages, in intimate relationships. So there are lots of very underlying and intertwined issues, which is like, which is like spread like a net. So when we deal with women empowerment, when we talk about
Thank you.
eliminating gender-based violence, we need to tap on all these issues. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Arien. That was very informative. And you tapped on the right spots of what is lacking in the society and what are the problem areas. Uh, we take more questions and then we'll get back to you. Moving on to Miss Ismat. Since you are a clinical psychologist, could you please elaborate on what kind of services are available in your country for um, uh, cases of gender-based violence, and what do you think needs to be done to make things better? Moreover, how do you think can the community support the gender-based violence, victims of gender-based violence, and show them as success stories or as real survivors and change agents? Miss Ismat, we can't hear you if you're speaking.
Sorry, my microphone is muted. Thank you, Varda, for giving me a chance. I'd like to share that in Bangladesh, we have lots of committee. Committee means where a DC or in Bangladesh, a small part in community is local under a local government is union, and then sub-district, then district, and then division. So I want to share you that when GBV is addressed in our country as like a committee, and we have lots of committee where government activists and non-government activists are member of this committee, and this committee is prevention of violence against women and children, dowry and child marriage prevention committee, implemented committee, payment allowance and windows and widowers. And then also trafficking committee, monitoring and trafficking. You know, monitoring is one of the major violence. And beside this, we have also National Acid Control Council committee in sub-district and district level. And beside this, we have a mechanism that's called multi-sectoral approaches, which actually implemented the survivor centers, because where we providing, we have 17 one-stop crisis center where we provide giving the opportunities, medical assistance, legal assistance, police assistance, and social welfare assistance, psychosocial counseling assistance, and rehabilitation and reintegration assistance. And after it's a preventive measure, not preventive measure. After incidents, they got the service from there. And beside this, we also have 67 one-stop crisis cells. Is a small part in all over 40 districts and 47 districts and 27 sub-districts. And beside this, there is non-government activity in all over the country. These are social civil society organization. They have lots of change maker approaches, fully shamas, and in Bangladesh. From government side, we have 4,048K adolescent club where we changing the mindset of adolescent boys and girls. We want to engage them to be a responsible person for the society. They can prevent child marriage also. And beside this, in each and every district and sub-district level, we have Department of Women Affairs, where we always, any woman can get access to submit their report and get training to empower themselves. And beside this, in Bangladesh, we have not formal community approaches all over the country, but we have lots of law, and our GOs, NGOs are working together to in an umbrella to prevent violence. But we have some negative incidents also. Each and every day we found some violence incidents in our newspapers and media also. And also child marriage is our shameful things, I think. And but where we can not succeed, because we have some patriarchal mindset, where the dowry is a important factor. And beside this, social insecurity feelings of parents is also main play and vital role to get married to their child, girl child in early age. And that's why we need to emphasize to change mind. And they also think that their girls is a burden, and that's why they want to convey the overcome their burden by arranging child marry them, and their close their responsibility. So in that case, we cannot get access. Our GOs and NGOs are failed, but we have 109, a toll-free number. We have 999, a toll-free number, where anyone, any side of Bangladesh, from Bangladesh, can get access to call them, and any kind of violence they can ask services. And we also have psychosocial counseling approach also. We have the National Trauma Counseling Center, where I am working from 2009, and we have regional trauma counseling center in divisional levels, and we have also providing training to the teachers, high school teachers, who play a vital role to supportive minds, making a supportive mindset to their students, because we didn't get in, we didn't have a law for sexual harassment, because our women and children our law, domestic violence law, sometimes are not even working soundly with sexual harassment. So we providing the supportive counseling training, and we also engaged community people. We provide psychosocial PFA, psychological first aid, to the community leader, like religious leader, students, and Polli Samaj, like some women who okay. So we they wanted to take them to. We also want to change the competitive mentality, and if the family values are increasing, then we want to prevent our gender-based violence. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ismat. You told us about all the good things that Bangladesh is doing. I hope that all these approaches help in preventing the violence rather than the detection part. Moving on, we have Ms. Ronak with us. And since you have a forum where you have 25 organizations that work on elimination of GBV, I would like of you to talk about the importance of the collective front, and also how important do you think is it that we have male allies with us? Because as much as we talk about empowering our girls and women and telling them about their rights, it's equally important that we talk to our male counterparts and tell them to respect boundaries and respect others. I'd again request all of you to please keep the time constraints in mind because we want everyone to participate and share their opinion. Thank you.
Thank you,
Over to you,
Varda.
Ms. Rana.
My internet is not so good, so I am keeping my video off. So yes, this is important as because women do not live in the society alone, right? We do have male counterpart like our father, like husband and friends and other male in the community. So it is very important to work with them because most of the decision are come or taken by these men. So we should work and we should create a like alliances of positive men who can be the advocate for women rights. And also, yes, I also because these men can be the role model for other men as well. And I'm as you mentioned that I am now care is a secretariat of GNB, Girls Not Bride Bangladesh also. And also we are the member of Citizens Initiative Against Domestic Violence, Law Reform Coalition, and some other platform. So I want to mention about the importance of this national platform, national, local, and global platform, because it's help us to strengthen our voice. Like, and also when we organize any events or organize any advocacy issues, we contribute each other. Because in this platform, different type of organizations are the member, like the legal aid organizations and the grassroots organizations, and also the organizations who are having programs in global level as well. So all the learnings and the sharing, they contribute each other. So these platforms can these help us to strengthen our voice, against gender-based violence. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was very short and crisp. And we actually know from working in the field that there's no way without including the males because they need to be part of the process, and also that women need to ally with one another to build upon the struggles that a few have faced. And this discussion itself is one of the building blocks to this, where we can learn from the regional practices and implement the best solutions in our countries. Thank you. Now moving on to Nepal. As Ms. Anshu mentioned that she is working from home, she has quit her job due to some personal issues. I want to know from her that what do you think? How can we break the cycle of GBV violence? GBV for GBV survivors if they are out of home, be it due to some reasons, or what role can the community play in that?
Thank you so much for that. Actually, as I already mentioned, I'm here talking about women who are taking break from their career. Reasons that make a woman sacrificing her career are not considered as violence, and people who make her ready to take that decision by not giving any options to lead her career ahead, even in odd situations, are not considered the perpetrators yet. However, it is prominent to be discussed because in the long run, it leads to serious gender-based violence that could be physical, mental, emotional, or any other. So it is generally not considered as violence because the woman herself happily says yes to sacrifice her career and compromise with her own dreams and potentials. The decision normally is made with her own consent, but here we have to realize that besides her consent, it's a hidden form of gender-based violence because she became ready to sacrifice and compromise because she was not given any other choices. And after sacrificing her job, the situation makes her lose not only a job, but also other many things, as same as the victim of physical violence, and ultimately leads her to be victim of any other forms of gender-based violence. So what she loses? Only a job? No. She loses her self-confidence, identity, financial independence, and thus freedom, joys, pride, decision-making power, social and professional relations, updates and knowledge on current situation and her related field, and a healthy competition and empowerment. So what she receives instead? Her own acceptance of the present uncomfortable situation and condition because no choices is left to her, and hidden regrets, compulsion to prove twice that she is still competitive, talent, and can handle any situation she faces, and no answer for what next after that situation, and unnecessary questions and tags, verbal abuse, anxiety, poor social and professional relations, changed perception of her husband, her family members towards her, and problematic even parental status. So what goes wrong if a woman sacrifices her career? What goes wrong? Nation has invested a significant amount of its resources on girls' education, right? So when that girl becomes able to return the nation in the form of tax, intelligence, and plans, she is compelled to stay at home passively. This actually indicates that nation's large amount of investment is being wasted as the productive as women are compelled to sit at home. A wrong message is fleeting in the society that may lead our society 20 to 30 years back. And thus all the efforts put into effect by women movement would be wasted. That wrong message is, if a woman has to sit at home anyway, why to encourage her to have for higher education instead of marrying someone and getting settled in time? So when we have started empowering and supporting rural women, we are encouraging them to be vocal, independent, and accelerate their career, right? We are setting bad examples of growing number of urban women who are struggling in their city life to save their identity, confidence, and individuality. And also, kids' psychology towards their mom changes as they see most of their fellows' parents are working. This makes them anxious about the status of their homemaker moms. Later on, this hits on their self-confidence too. So what could be done? As you asked me, what could be done? So men engagement, this is inevitable because ultimately the power is in this patriarchal society is held by men, and we should educate our men and boys. So we can say that men and boys for women, and gender roles in society should be revised. Now, there shouldn't be such things as mother's duty or father's duty. Now, it should be parents' duty. And there shouldn't be husband duty or wife's duty. It should be couple's
Thank you so
duty.
much, Anshu. But could you just please sum it up in 30 more seconds?
Okay, thank you. So, civil society for awareness raising and facilitation, and establishment of academic, non-academic counseling institutions for their career growth, and so on. So, the major thing is, what if a woman is educated, empowered, and economically independent? So can these things eradicate the gender-based violence she may face? So I will say to some extent, education, empowerment, and economical independence can reduce the level of violence against women, but other forms of violence, except physical violence, like emotional violence, she may face a right to freedom, right to decision making, still be affected. So what we should do, what a family or a community can do is basically we have to educate our men. We have to make them understand that women is an individual identity. She is an individual entity, and they should accept that women are humans first. And then in one hand, we are educating our women, we are empowering them, we are making them economically independent. And on the other hand, we need to raise our men and boys, and we have to educate our men to accept them as a human before women. and that can be eradicating gender-based violence in the long run. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, hand in hand, we'll go ahead. This is, I think, one of the major takeaways that I have from this session as well. Moving on to Ms. Madhur. Since you're working at grassroots level, could you please elaborate on different regional, national, and cultural differences in methods of penetrating and perpetrating violence against women? Lessons and learnings from Nepal, please. Ms. Madhur, do we have you online? I can't see you. Okay, so we can come back to her later. I think she's lost her connection because I can't see her here. Could we please move on to Dr. Sangeeta, please? And since you are from the academic background, I would love to know how do you think power moderates gender relationships and produces gender-based violence and inequality? I've heard other speakers talk about it, but we'd love to know more about it from the theoretical perspective from you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Varda. I'm sure I will be able to draw from those few seconds that I missed out with my throat. Sorry, and please stop me anytime I go overboard, okay? So when we talk about this gender-based violence, we are talking about historical inequalities between men and women. We know that, right? And in 1975, when the first women's conference happened in Mexico, the issue of violence against women did come up. But then what happened was, like domestic violence, it came up, but then at that time, people did not have so much that notion about what violence actually is. So they thought, well, it can be solved amicably, you don't need, any kind of intervention. It can be worked out when the man and woman can work together, like to overcome it. So that was the notion. And then CEDAW was established. We know about CEDAW in 1979, 81 it was established. But now 41 or 40 years into CEDAW, you see that what has happened, the gap, the violence that you see, it has not been alleviated. Just look at, like the UN Women today, their statistics say out of every 3 women, 2 of them are, undergo violence. Violence is perpetrated against them, and either against them, or you could say they have knowledge of someone who has been, violence has been meted out against them. So that is the status, global status that UN Women has come up with. So what I want to say is, we talk about education and awareness. Of course, those are, ways in which to mitigate violence against women. But what I want to say here is, there are various intersectionalities which direct or inform the situation of women. So it's not just these 2 criteria, awareness or education. Look at the caste, class, ethnicity, religion, and within that, again, you are talking about harmful traditional practices, you are talking about economic standing. So when you talk, so these are all factors, right, that inform how a woman functions well in the society, in the within the family. And it's not just about men against women, because we are talking about the patriarchal society, right? And not just patriarchal, it is heteropatriarchal. And before I forget, when we talk about gender-based violence, today it's just about violence against women. But when we do talk about gender-based violence, it's always, you need to include, when we say gender, you need to include other identities as well, other gender identities as well, who are not in the mainstream. Because for us, hetero is the norm, it's the normative. So that's how it's run. So let's not talk about, the other side, the other gender other gender identities, but about these intersectionalities that cut across, that inform how a woman acts towards another woman. You are talking, we can talk about traditional practices. Anshu talked about child marriage. These are traditional practices. So how do you, what happens? So it's not a male violence against another female, another woman. No, it's the whole house, it's the whole community who are. So how do you alleviate that? How do you mitigate that? So, and then religion, it's about religion. When children children are married off at the age of 9 or 10, it's about tradition, it's about religious tradition, right? So how do you work on that? So it's not a man violating a woman's dignity. It's a woman, it's the family. So these are all practices that are part of the community, that are embedded within the community, in the community. So, first of all, of course, education is there. You need to bring awareness through education, but at the same time, you have government legislation. They have to work towards, improving the poverty line of the communities. And then more importantly, we have to have men change, transform. They are the ones who work. I mean, it's not for us to say we have to bring in men. Of course, we have to bring in men, but men should take. So even in this panel, we should have had men talking about how do you alleviate gender disparity or or violence against women. It's for them to transform themselves. It's about how they can reduce or eliminate their toxic masculinity. You are talking about masculinity, positive masculinity. So it's always about toxic masculinity that, perpetrates all the violence that is there in the society. So, the other thing is, do you want me to go on, or is my time up? Warda, do I go on, or so? I'll just be brief. I can't hear you.
Oh, yes. So, yes, please take, if it's brief, take 1 minute.
Okay, I'll just take. So in Nepal, when we talk about violence, is it mitigated? How well is it, how well are the practices being carried out? Well, it is. NGOs, social activists, everyone is working towards that. But we cannot say that, oh, we do not have, because it happens. When we did the harassment conference seminar, I mean, the stories that came out were shocking, like the incestuous violence against the girl, the father raping the daughter. These kinds of things are so much embedded within, not just within the community, but within the family, and it's hard for them to come out and, come out and tell the world. In other words, violence is inevitable, but at the same time, it's not inevitable. It's not necessary that it happens, right? But then again, I want to say it's preventable. But even as you say it's preventable, where do we start? Because of all those intersectionalities. Education alone is not enough. Education, awareness, but then you need to work into the caste, you need to work into the ethnicity, the religion, the traditional practices. So here we have women activists. So we need to have men and women activists to work to mitigate all these problems. Thank you. And before I forget, I just want to add that I've worked in Bangladesh for 8 years at the Asian University for Women. And I've been to Pakistan 5 times, once as the then President Musharraf's guest, and 4 times as a Fulbrighter, for the conferences and all. So thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Looking forward to host you once again, once this pandemic ends. Building on what you said, that we need to take into account the regional, national, and cultural differences when we are talking about prevention of violence. I'd request Ms. Madhur to please share her thoughts, as since she has worked at grassroots level, and I assume that she has worked with people from different backgrounds, be it religious, be it cultural. So could you please briefly elaborate on this, that what weapons or methods have you used differently in different regions?
Thank you, Vada. Are you hearing me? Okay. As I have worked in the grassroots level, what we usually use as a tool is the training methods. And in the training methods, we usually, some are educated, some are from the grassroots level. So in some places we use the street drama method, somewhere we use the pamphlet method, and we are working with Suhara. So that works. It's a program for the pregnant women. Are you hearing me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So pregnant women. So what we do is, rather than giving them just verbal training, we go to their houses, and then we provide them with nutritional food seeds, and then for pregnant women we provide them chickens, so that they can grow it, and when they have their delivery they can have nutritional food. And then in this COVID state, we went from wards to wards, and then we did the awareness raising program to how to wash hands, how to keep clean, and if somebody is affected from the disease or something like that, how you should stay in isolation. Because in the very remote country, the use of isolation center and or hospital reaching them was very it was very hard. That's why, so we went there and gave training briefing for them in that way. And secondly, what we have been always doing is, we are organizing a mediation program. So this mediation, in this mediation program, we give 8 days training for the people against violence against women. So whenever there is a dispute in the family, whenever there is a violence in a family, there is no need to go to the police or the legal authorities, because it's very hard. So the people who are given the training, they can mediate and listen to the both sides, and lot of disputes have been ended in that matter. So it is very helpful in the grassroots level also.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for your response. Next, we would move on to Miss Misbah. Misbah, since you worked on sports activism and curbing gender-based violence through sports, could you please tell me about what's your opinion that what role can education play in curbing gender-based violence, and even the response in terms of if someone is exposed to violence?
Thank you so much, Varda. Yes, what we have seen in Pakistan and mostly in our Asian countries, that you see violence or any kind of violence, it's a global thing. It's a global issue that everyone's facing, the domestic violence, or we can say it's gender-based violence. And if we talk about sports, when a girl or when any woman participate in sports, they we challenge the actual stereotype, we challenge the patriarchal mindset of people. When we participate in any leadership roles or any social work, we face challenges. And just imagine, when a girl participates in sports or any other physical activity, we actually challenge the stereotypical mindset of people. So a lot of girls in Pakistan, as well as I have met along a lot of girls are facing issues when it comes to sports participation. It's not always easy to be a female athlete in our countries, in the developing countries like Pakistan. uh, there's inequality in sports, that there is no equity in sports. A lot of girls are not getting the same daily wages, or the same proper salaries. I have seen a lot of professional female athletes in Pakistan who have represented Pakistan at a lot of professional levels, international levels, but they are not getting the same attention and the same salary, or they are not equal to the man athletes, because there is inequality in sports. And other thing, what we have observed is there's no access of women or female athletes to the public spaces. So what we are trying to do through our organization, through our NGO, to giving access to the young girls to the public spaces, and making it a safer and better platform for girls, so they can participate, so they can come forward and participate in any physical activity they want to pursue in their future. Other than if you talk about education in their career, I think it's like when you need a license for driving, the same goes with your education. It's kind of your license for wherever you want to go or whatever you want to do. So it's really important to have an education, have a good degree in your career, as well as to pursue your dreams or to pursue your passion. I think so.
Thank you. That was very pertinent, and that brings us a lot of hope that if all the young girls and even the older ones include themselves in sports, and we'll have a safer space. Um, we would have moved to Rahima after this, but Raina has to leave. So could I please request Raina to talk about the role of youths and the social media, and then we'll come back to Rahima.
Hi, yes, let me just turn on the camera. So, about the role of youth, I think while
Hello, we can't hear you. I think there's a problem with your internet.
Hello.
Hello, Raina.
Am I audible now?
Yes, but it's still
All
distorted.
right.
You can probably try by turning off your video. That will help in
Okay.
the bandwidth part. Thank you.
Fine now?
Yes.
All right. So, talking about youth, I think this is where the prevention starts, and this is where since this is where violence begins, this is where the prevention should begin as well. So, for the schools that I run under my organization, the Zanana Foundation, I have young children walking in, be it girls, be it boys. Young children aged 5 to 7 who are abusing women older than themselves. Like, I have children walking in and abusing their teachers. Because they're so used to abusing their mothers at home. They're so used to seeing their fathers do that and their older brothers do that, and it's something so normal for them. So this is when I realized I was 16 when I first set up the school that I'm running till date. And that is when I first realized that I need to start working on prevention methods and all these trainings and workshops at my school. I do not need to go out to houses and talk to women. I need to tell my little girls about domestic violence. I need to tell them about the prevention methods. I need to talk to my little boys at my school about how it's wrong to target their young sisters or their mothers at home, and how and why their fathers are wrong when they do that. Because women, like mentioned before, are humans, and they come in with their rights, and nobody, absolutely no one, has the right to tell them that A, they can't study, B, they can be abused, C, they can't have a say about how they have to be treated and how they should be treated. So that's what I believe in. I think the youth, people who are youth activists, I would say, people who are working on these issues, should be, I think, provided with the skill set that they need. Their voices should be amplified. So these young ambassadors and these young activists can further the cause, right? Can further work on it on larger scales. So if I can work with 600 students every day and teach them about GBV and how they can, prevent it, and how they can reach out for help when something happens to them or people around them. If we empower other youth activists, and if each activist goes on to empower hundreds of students, I think the change would take place there and then. And this is something that we need. It's the need of the hour to work from the grassroots level. Um, yeah, did someone wants to add something? All right.
I think that was
Yeah,
the
so
only.
about that, and then I keep talking. Okay, so about the social media as well. I think as much as social media can be used to prevent these things by raising awareness, obviously, like we see that there are awareness campaigns going on. And I also see that there are various people mentioning what the government is doing and what their organizations are doing. So social media for me has always been the bridge right here. Government is doing or these NGOs are doing can be shared with these victims, can be shared with the layman, I'd say, to raise awareness about what all is being done, and to further help the victims, by telling them about the different organizations that they can reach out to or the different things that they can do. Social media has also played a very important role in my journey. So when I started my organization, I had no resources whatsoever. Social media allowed me to connect to all these different people. I am not from a legal background. I had no idea about lawyers. But using social media, I now connect domestic violence victims to lawyers who are willing to help them out for free. So I just put up a single status via my social media platforms that, there's this domestic violence victim and this person needs help. And then I have hundreds of volunteers, hundreds of lawyers who are willing to help these out. So I think using social media and new technologies, we can raise awareness, b connect, provide help to these victims, and bridge the gap between what all is being done and for those individuals that it's being done for. So that's it from my end. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Raina. Now, moving on to the last speaker, we have Rahima with us. Rahima, I would want you, like of you to tell us about how can we combat GBV through gender-sensitive policy making, and how does the National Commission for Women Rights in Sindh does it. I'd again request of you to please keep it brief so that we can end the session in time.
Okay, thank you, Varda. As you asked about the role of commissions and gender-sensitive policies, so I have been engaged with parliamentarians since 2008. And under this period, we actually formulated numerous laws pertaining to child marriages, domestic violence, reproductive health, and compulsory and free education for girls. So I experienced that we succeeded to pass many laws, but unfortunately, due to lack of political commitment, many laws haven't been implemented yet. Because when you pass a law, you have a legislation, you need some sort of resources in terms of financial and human resources to implement those laws as well. I led a project which was actually focused on child marriages and domestic violence, and also setting up of Sindh Commission on the status of women under a law which passed in 2014. With the rigorous advocacy campaign with Provincial Steering Forum, which was the representative of civil society, parliamentarians, media, legal fraternity, and other people, we succeeded to set up a Sindh Commission on the status of women in 2017. After setting up this commission, we tried our level best to set up these structures and systems in place at district and provincial level under the Sindh Child Marriages District Act and Domestic Prevention and Protection Act 2013. So we also succeed to set up those structures as well. After the setting of the commission, we supported the commission technically and financially. So commission could develop a pressure on relevant departments and relevant ministries to ensure the implementation of pro-women laws in Sindh province. Besides this, we also supported commission to develop some sort of training manuals for police officers, for medico-legal officers, human rights officers as well, because if there is a law, there is a system, there is a structure, but if the relevant department officials are unaware about the implementation of the law or about the main key features of the law, then they are unable to implement, execute that law in true letter and spirit. So we provided technical assistance to Commission, and nowadays I'm proudly say that in this year, Commission has led by 16 days of violence against women campaign, and our Commission is awarded, is also one of the among institutions which last week they awarded at Pakistan to promote the rigorous campaign to curb the violence against women and girls. So I think these type of experiences can be replicated across South Asia, across Pakistan as well, to curb the gender-based violence. Because if you want to curb violence against women, then there is a need to bring out all key stakeholders on one forum. If they are in one forum, then they can be able to exchange information, share ideas. Also, they also will be able to provide required support to each other, and also provide some sort of technical assistance so they can be able to perform their role as per their mandate. Thank you. So these are my few thoughts on this. Thank you, Vardhan.
Thank you so much. With that, we'll quickly move on to sharing your thoughts and last minute takeaways. We'd start from Bangladesh again. Arien, if you could please share your takeaways from the session.
It's been a very good learning session for me, of course. Can you hear me? I learned so much from everyone. It was nice to listen to different perspectives from different countries. And I think I learned the most from the youngest alumni and youngest member in this group. Although I believe like after 18, everyone is equal. So, but what she's doing from a very young age is very significant and remarkable. So a lot of us think of many things, but we do not do that. But I think that the obstacle between our dream coming true and me is just me. So it's just taking that step. And it's just important to say no to violence and to any discrimination. And the practice starts from home, from within. And it is really lovely, always great to listen to and be surrounded by strong women. Because this women force, we talk about equality, but I always say that women are more than equal, a lot more. But that's just a basic legal right that we can claim for. And thank you so much for inviting me here. And it was lovely listening to everybody. I learned so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I would personally want to know about art of healing and how do you use art for gender-based violence, but let's leave it for another time. Moving on to Ms. Ismat, if you could share your takeaways or last thoughts. I'm sorry, please unmute yourself.
Oh, sorry. It's really thank you. I have a great opportunities to learn different perspectives in different countries, and I really appreciating the see and work from Rana, and also inspired by Anshu. Maybe I mistake their name. And it's really fantastic learning, and also all the speakers sounds work them nicely. Thanks to all. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to Ms. Ronak, if she's around. She's left. Can we take last notes from Ms. Anshu?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, all the lovely ladies. I learned so many things from you. And today what I realized that we are majorly focusing on the physical violence, right? When we talk of, and when we have discussions, we prominently talk about physical violence, but other forms of violence are still to be talked. One thing I realized. And other thing I realized that when we say gender-based violence or gender-based something or gender, we only talk about male and female, and uh, mm, other genders are far behind in our talk. So we need to include them also while we talk about gender. So these things I really want to take with me today, so that if I work in future, I can work on these things too. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Now moving on to Miss Madhur for your takeaways from the session.
Uh, Thank you, Vada, for hosting such a beautiful and a nice session. And I would like to, it's like regenerating yourself. Like Anshu said, sometimes you also need a break. I was also going through a break, and I have started again. So as a woman, we also need a break, and you should enjoy your break, Angsuji, and all the women also. And we should frequently go on vacation also, and this interaction program also. So maybe sometimes it might turn into an exchange program from country to country, Bangladesh to Nepal or Nepal to Pakistan also. I wish for that. And I like that proverb, whatever is stopping me is me. So thank you, I think, Arien Khan, for a very nicely proverb. And thank you, everybody, lovely ladies. Nice meeting you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Moving on to Dr. Sangeeta now. And Dr. Sangeeta, I would really like of you if you could briefly tell us about the book titles that I read in the description. What inspired you to have those names? One of which was Can a Girl Rebel?
Sorry, that's a collection of essays which I wrote during my younger days. So, and then, the two books, the latest ones, Women in Asia, and the other one is Violence Against Women. So, because all these years I've been working, advocating, you could say, through my writings about women, for women. So it just happened that I started writing about women. So these are either collections or real books and chapters and editing that I've done. So to get back to what I got from here, what we have to understand, first of all, it was wonderful listening to all the young ones. I feel so ancient. Nevertheless, what I have to say is that violence against women still exists. It's very much here. And whenever we talk about violence against women, we have to, it's always framed as a woman's issue, right? It's always, whenever we talk about violence, it's always framed as a women's issue. And the other thing is we say poverty. So we go talk about the grassroots level, we do this. That's fine. Of course, we have to, because we have to lift them. As long as we don't uplift women, there's no equality. So, it's always the gap over here. So that gender disparity, to end that gender disparity, we have to bring the women up. But what I want to mention also is that it's not just poverty. It's not, violence does not exist only at the grassroots level. If you look at as I said, class, caste. So if you look at the upper strata of the society, you will see the women, they are wealthy, they are educated, but they don't work. They are not independent. So they suffer the trauma of being violated. The violence, they suffer that because they can't go out and work. They are not independent. So what I want to say is women have to be economically independent for their dignity, and to be heard. decision making. So once women are economically independent, I think it's going to, like eliminate the violence to some extent. Okay, that's what I think. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was very pertinent. Yes, we all do agree that women's empowerment would solve a lot of problems that we have in terms of gender-based violence and violence against women. Moving on to Misbah now. Could you please share your takeaways from the session? I think Misbah is not here. If that is so, we'd move on to Rahima.
Thank you, Varda, for providing opportunity to share my views. I'm really thankful to all wonderful ladies who share their insights, experiences, and learnings of their respective fields. And I think it was an absolute pleasure for me to hear you all ladies. We need, if we want to curb the gender-based violence against women and girls, then we need to promote womanhood across the borders, across the social circles, because if women come forward for a woman, then no one can dare to throw violence against women. So I think we need to strengthen womanhood ourselves, and also one woman can stand for another as well. I read a quote somewhere that if a woman is standing for another woman, it means that she is standing herself as well. So we need to come forward and support each other where we are, and extend our possible support to curb the violence against women. Thank you.
Thank you. That's very true indeed. We need to all step up and step forward for each other and for this beautiful earth that we have. Because I think as much as we talk about women's issue, when we talk about climate change, women are the spearheads for trying to protect the earth for good. Do we still have Rana here? Because she said she has to leave, and I can see her in the chat box or the participants list. Maybe she has left. So thank you so much, ladies. That was very energizing. I'm very happy and overwhelmed to know that we are all working towards a collective goal to see an equitable world for women and girls. When I talk to people and they ask me why I want to work for gender equality, I tell them that as much as that this elevates women, it frees the men, because being in patriarchal society, we have imposed a lot of workload to the men, and they are not allowed to be themselves. So if there's a gender equitable world, I think we'll all be happier. With this, I would like to thank all of you for taking out your time and sharing your thoughts. I'd like to thank the U.S. mission in Nepal, in Pakistan, and in Bangladesh for organizing this and bringing us on a platform. I'd like to thank all the coordinators who have made this possible. And I request all of you to stay connected and share your wonderful work and thoughts with all of us so that we stay motivated and keep doing good things. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone. With this, we are signing out from here. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.